Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tiny Classroom Training Live. We're thrilled to have you here as we embark on enhancing your professional skills. This session focuses on the elements of effective coaching. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat as our coaches Don Zalou and Artie Nathan will be answering some as we move along. Let me pass the microphone to our esteemed coaches who will guide us through today's session. Artie and Don, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Juan. Good to see you, and good to see you again, Don. And this is a follow-up session on coaching. The last time we were here, uh, we talked about the importance of coaching, and we apologize for missing a week, but things I got COVID and we were traveling and who knows what happened, but we're back on track now. So, Don, uh, what are the elements of coaching? I mean, really, when do you do coaching, and what's it involved?
Oh, coaching, we do coaching whenever there's an opportunity to develop, to grow, to enhance an individual that would like to be coached. You more often than not, someone that is working on our team, or for you and I, it's a broad spectrum of folks that we encounter out there. One of the things that I think we should start the conversation out with is really what some of the key elements of effective
Yeah.
coaching are. And we're just going to hit the high bits of it today. And there's a lot of depth here that we could get into. But the first one would be clear goals and expectations between you and the person you're coaching, right? So they should be specific, right? Measurable, achievable, relevant. And we call them SMART objectives for the coaching relationship in each session. So the purpose of coaching is to sort of change behavior, to move the ball for an individual from one point to another, to enhance their abilities.
So it really involves more active listening than
Yeah.
anything else. You
Yes.
know, the last time we talked about coaching, we stressed that it's about the person being coached. And as a coach, you have to fully concentrate on what the person being coached is saying. You have to understand their message and respond thoughtfully rather than just waiting to speak, rather than looking at your cell phone or looking off in the distance. Listen very carefully at what they say and how they say it. You want to understand, are they really passionate about this? Are they into it? And you'll notice those things if you listen and watch their body language.
Absolutely. And I think that's just to touch on that. I think it's a very important point, and we encounter very often, much more often than we would like, individuals who think that they're coaching, but they're actually waiting to speak. So their idea of coaching is to tell people rather than draw it out of them. And so the next step of that is really sort of asking powerful questions, right? Uh, and this is where we use open-ended, very thought-provoking questions that sort of challenge an individual's assumption, and promote a deeper reflection and insight. And we only really make progress in a conversation like that, or in so many other kinds of conversations in our lives, by asking questions that are open and showing actual interest in the person's response and building upon that.
And as Don likes to always say, as you're listening to their
Mhm.
responses, ask them to tell you more.
Mhm.
Dig a little deeper. Get them to give you more of an idea of what they're answering. And once you help them to clarify these things, you can provide constructive feedback, offering specific and timely and balanced feedback that focuses on behaviors and outcomes rather than any personal criticisms. This isn't about you, the coach. Again, it's about the person being coached.
That's absolutely right. And so asking powerful questions and providing powerful, expressive, and constructive feedback leads us to encouraging self-reflection on the part of the coachee, the person that we're asking questions of, right? Uh, and it helps the individual to analyze their own thinking, their actions, their experiences, and gain some new perspectives and insights. And until we get that coming out of the individual that we're coaching, we really aren't going anywhere fast.
And if you do this right, you're going to build trust and rapport with the person you're coaching. You're going to create a safe and confidential environment where the person being coached feels comfortable sharing openly and taking risks. This is a place where they have to feel as though they can say anything, and you're going to listen carefully, you're going to respond appropriately, and you're going to help them to clarify their thinking.
So encouraging self-respect and self-reflection leads to building trust and rapport, leads to tailoring our approach to the individual's needs. So there's not a one size fits all. There's some rules of the road in how we coach effectively. It's about the person being coached and some other issues that we can talk about at another time. But we go nowhere if we don't build trust and rapport with the individual. So it has to be a safe space, and it has to be a confidential environment where the coachee feels, comfortable in sharing openly and taking risks. And particularly in a work environment, that's often a little scary for the coachee, the person being coached, isn't it?
It is scary at first, but
Mhm.
if you approach this correctly, they're going to feel that this is a safe haven. And
Yeah,
so you're going to be focusing on strengths and potential, not on what's wrong or what you should do or how come you said that. And so if you identify and leverage the person being coached, their existing strengths, while helping them to recognize and develop their untapped potential, you're going to help them open up and to see things that are possible. And that, again, is what coaching is really all about.
that's right. That's absolutely right. And that leads us ultimately and helps to produce the issues of accountability, ideas of accountability and follow through. So if there's no accountability and there's no follow through, we'll sort of think about this by next Friday at 11 o'clock. Um, as an example, is incredibly critical to the process of coaching. It's not one stop, you know, solve the whole problem. Um, so help the coachee set, action plans. Hold them accountable for their commitments and progress. And it doesn't mean wagging your finger at them. It means tell me why you couldn't get there. Help me understand what your blocks are. So again, it's not telling. It's expanding upon this idea of accountability and follow through as a positive sensibility, not as a punitive sense.
And if you approach this the right way
Mhm,
with the person being coached,
mhm.
you're going to encourage continuous learning and improvement.
Yeah,
And that's really the supportive part of this. That both you and that person being coached have to commit to ongoing development. You're going to be there for the long term and you want them to be there too. Regularly assessing this relationship and adjusting approaches as needed. You're going to discover a lot of things with your coachee, and they're going to discover even more about themselves. And so you've got to be open and adjusting as things develop.
absolutely right. And this helps to empower the individual who's being coached. And part of the objective here is to establish or foster independence, help the individual to develop their own problem solving skills and confidence. Just as an aside, very often in a work environment, particularly, this relationship of a coach coachee, which can be pretty close, and you've got to build trust in the context of that. And a part of the benefit we see is that it often helps an individual to rediscover their curiosity and their openness to learning, which tends to get shut down in schooling very often, and sometimes moving into a work environment where people think they can't say what's on their mind or explore. So you're opening up the possibilities for the person being coached in their own mind and in their own experience, which is very, very powerful.
And lastly, I think it's important that you maintain professional boundaries. You're going to get pretty close with this person, and they're going to feel the same about you as you open up yourself and open them up. But
Mm,
you have to clearly define this relationship and maintain appropriate emotional and professional distance. This is something that, again, it's not about you and how you feel about this. It's about them and what they get out of this. And so by maintaining the appropriate professional boundary, you'll get the most out of this and they'll get the most out of this.
that's absolutely right. So it's not a personal relationship. It's not necessarily a friendship, but it is a professional exchange between two people with a purpose and an end in mind. And all this stuff taken together, it really sort of creates a supportive and a challenging and a growth oriented, that's very important, a growth oriented coaching experience and environment in the work environment that you're in. So effective coaches continually refine these skills and adapt their approach to best serve each individual coachee. So there's a situationality in all of this as well. So the effect for the person who's doing the coaching is that they're constantly growing as well from their experience and the skills that they bring to it.
And just remember, coaching has nothing to do with catching people when they're wrong and trying to fix them.
Yeah.
It's really about noticing what's positive about them, what's interesting, what their interests are, and helping them to get where they want to go. And again, it's all about the person being coached.
It is. Maybe that's the key to it all. Is it's about the person being coached, and that's what you and I focus on as we're sort of talking about this sort of thing. You want to close it out for us today, Artie?
Well, this is I think one of the most important things that a manager does with his or her people, and it's using their effective communication strategies and skills,
Yeah.
but it's really helping people. And if you do that and you do it right, you'll be a more effective leader and you'll have more effective people working with you.
That's absolutely right. Well, thank you for this today. This is good, and we'll see everyone in 2 weeks.
And happy 4th of July.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You told me I have to wear my hat today. Okay, there we go. There we go. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody out there, enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you all very much.